Good morning. We mentioned verse 12 and 13. I want to pick up in verse 14. Paul's imprisonment. It has served to advance the gospel. And then he says this, and most of the brothers, having become confident in the Lord by my imprisonment, are much more bold to speak the word without fear. He says they've seen me suffer. They've seen me endure. They've seen what I've been through. And as they've seen it, it hasn't deterred them. Instead, it's inspired them. It's pushed them forward in that way. It's shifted them into a frame of reference where they are sort of releasing the I at the center and saying, no, I want to live for something bigger. I mentioned the slogan, no pain, no gain, and how really what Paul's saying in verse 12 and 13 is my pain may be their gain. My pain may be the gospel's gain. My gain may be the kingdom's gain. I'll give you another phrase. You ever heard the commercial with the Eggo waffle, Lego my ego? Well, here's what I want you to think about. Not Lego my ego, but Lego my ego. Let go of my ego. Because see, if I let go of my ego, then when I suffer, when I endure hardship, perhaps God is using it to embolden someone else who sees me suffer well. Maybe if they see you suffer well, they'll be emboldened. I remember my wife was going through a very difficult time in her life and having her faith really challenged. This was years ago. And at that time, I was actually in seminary. And at that time, we lived behind a family. The grandmother of that family was dying of cancer, and my wife watched her. She was a former missionary with Wycliffe International, translating the Bible to a people group in Mexico along with her husband. And she was dying, and she became very influential in my wife's life, as my wife got to spend lots of time with her, lots of time over meals, playing games, fellowshipping. And as she was dying of cancer, she saw the beauty of this woman's faith. She saw the strength and virtue of this woman in the midst of difficulty. And it spoke a lasting testimony that emboldened my wife's faith. And in some ways, God used it to restore aspects of her faith and her belief and her commitment to the gospel, because she saw someone who walked it out in the midst of hardship. You can have a tremendous impact. That lady's name was Elaine, was her first name. My middle daughter's middle name is Elaine, named for her, because she left a legacy and a mark on my wife by the testimony she had in the midst of difficulty. Maybe God will use you that way. But the only way you can be used that way is when you are faced with difficulty, you let go your ego, because otherwise you'll devolve into self-pity, or you'll get angry at God for all the unrighteousness around you that's happening to you, rather than leaning in and saying, maybe others will be emboldened as I press forward in this difficulty. May the Lord help all of us to do that so we can be good witnesses for Him. Take care.